Okay, good evening and welcome everyone to this Planning Committee meeting on Thursday the 6th of November, 2025. My name's Caleb Tomlinson, I'm the chair of this committee. I'm also the councillor for Bamber Bridge West. Committee members and members of the public, you are reminded that this meeting is being recorded and streamed live to YouTube. If you're attending the meeting because you're a member of the public, well, nobody's registered to speak this evening, so I don't actually need to go through that. And voting on the applications tonight will be undertaken by the electronic system. Once that has been confirmed, I will ask Taz to confirm the outcome of the vote. We're not anticipating a fire alarm drill, so if the alarm does go off, the fire exit is there and we'll meet on the car park. If I can now ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting to my left and going round the room. Thank you.
Good evening, Elizabeth Thormer, Head of Planning and Enforcement.
Good evening, Councillor Elaine Stringfellow for Lostock Hall Ward.
Good evening, Debbie Roberts, Development Management Team Leader.
Good evening, Catherine Thomas, Planning Manager.
Good evening, James Gleeson, Councillor Cat Green Gregson Lane.
Good evening, Angela Turner, Councillor Broadoak Penwithen.
Good evening, Councillor Peter Molyneux, Sandbrook Walton Ward.
Good evening, Councillor Peter Pillinger, Buckshot and Worden Ward.
Good evening, Councillor Green, Councillor for Moss Side and Midge Hall.
Chris Lomax, Whately-Dale East. Good evening.
Good evening, Councillor Phil Smith. I represent New Longton and Hutton East.
Good evening, Councillor Hayden Williams, representing Leyland Central.
Ben Story, Democratic and Member Service Officer.
Good evening, Tasnim Safdar, Head of Legal and Procurement.
Okay, thanks everyone for that, and how lovely to see a group of councillors packed so closely together. I hope COVID's not rampant tonight. All right, do we have any declarations of interest this evening? No, okay. Agenda item number 4, which is the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of October 2025. I have read the minutes, I agree with them. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I would second those, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll go to the electronic vote. Don't forget, if you weren't here, you must abstain. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Those minutes have been approved.
Lovely, thank you. Moving swiftly on to agenda item number 5, appeal decisions. Do we have any appeal decisions, please, Catherine?
No, Chair, we don't have any appeal decisions this month to report.
I'm moving swiftly on because we've all got better places to be. Agenda item number 6 this evening, the Old Mill, School Lane, Bamber Bridge. Debbie, if you would like to present this item, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now, for some reason, I can't get on the title page, so we're launching straight into it. This application refers to Old Mill Industrial Estate off School Lane and Brindle Road, Bamber Bridge. It's been an industrial estate since around the 1970s and a spinning mill prior to that. For the purposes of the application, the site's split into 2. We've got Site A, which is on the southern boundary, and Site B, which is to the site centre. To the north of the wider industrial estate, we've got residential, commercial and retail properties on School Lane, Worley and Ashworth Streets. To the east, there are dwellings and a nursery on Brindle Road. West is Rainsford Timber and residential properties on Skipton Close. And to the south are residential, the closest being Collins Road North and the Crescent. The wider industrial estate has gated access from School Lane and Brindle Road. The outer site boundary is secured by metal fencing and quite dense tree screening in certain areas. Inside the site, there are several blocks of commercial and industrial units in a range of styles, size and conditions. Some are better than others. There is also communal and private parking areas dotted around the site. The proposal is for erection of 3 blocks of industrial units with associated works and a small substation following demolition of buildings on site B. This is an update of a 2022 permission, which was for erection of 7 blocks of employment and associated works. That's been implemented by demolition of the buildings on site B and removal of the bund on site A. The previous scheme wasn't commercially viable, so these are design changes, but it's essentially on the same footprint, and the old permission remains extant, so that is the fallback position. They can go to that if they need to. Site A was a deep grass bund. Spans the southeast boundary, as I said, that's been removed. The original permission was for 3 commercial terraces of 15 units with parking on the western side and parking in between each of the 3 terraces. This proposal is for 1 terrace of 7 units, substation in the southeast corner here. Parking will be in front of the units, so away from the residential properties here, and there'll be a small car park on the western side. We've assessed spatial separation in terms of residential and other industrial properties, and it's acceptable subject to proposed screening and existing screening being in place. That will be secured by condition. Site B is on the northwest portion of the site. That formerly housed 7 blocks, a square block of 7 units with parking and state roads around the edge. The 2020 scheme replaced those with 4 terraces of 29 units. This proposal is for 2 blocks. Block 2, which is along the southern boundary, that accommodates 5 units. And block 3, which is on the northern side, and that's a terrace of 3 units. Again, spatial separation between existing and proposed units is policy compliant. There's a detailed assessment in your report, it's quite a lot of that. All the other units around the site are to remain. Overall, it's around 7,700 square metres of new floor space, albeit some of that's been replaces demolished buildings. They will be in light industrial and storage and distribution use classes, which is what the site is now, B1, B2, B8, old money. Dedicated service, employee and visitor parking spaces, including quite a lot of mobility parking. We've got a revised access scheme. Access from School Lane and Brindle Road remains the same. Internally, there are some tweaks to make it better. 14 vehicle charging stations and relevant landscaping and screening, which again we would be securing by condition if approved. All of the units have a monopitch roof with a 7.4 metre rear rising to 9.5 at the front, so bungalow height at the lowest point roughly. The lowest parts will be backing onto residential on site A, so the higher points move away from residential properties. Mezzanine floors inside each, and they would all be in this grey cladding with red decorative trim and signage. A significant update on the visual appearance of what's quite dated site. It's also a betterment from the 2022 permission, but as I said earlier, that's a fallback permission and they can go ahead with that if they do wish to. Just some photographs now. This is site A with the bund cleared. Just for perspective, in 2008, we also granted permission for 166 storage units in 2 stories. So the principle of development on this bund, albeit it has been a bund for a few years, is well and truly established. This is site A from the western side of the site before the bund was removed. This is site B before the buildings were demolished. And this is site B as it is now. And this is just one photograph to show the proximity of the residential and commercial properties on Station Road from site B. As you can see, it's quite a distance. We've had 5 letters of representation. They're in the report. Spatial relationship between existing commercial and residential has been assessed and it's been considered acceptable. It's a policy compliant scheme. We've not had any statutory objection, but Lancashire County Council had some concerns that if both the 2022 scheme and this new scheme were delivered at the same time, if they picked a bit of one and a bit of another, we would end up with a substandard highways arrangement inside the site, not outside, inside the site. For that reason, the applicant has agreed to enter into a unilateral agreement. So that's that they've agreed to prevent continuation of the 2022 scheme if this is approved and implemented. On that basis, we've had the UU this afternoon, but it's very, very late. We've not had time to have a look at it and present it to our legal team. So on that basis, we will go with approval with conditions, delegated to the chair and head of service, subject to completion of the unilateral undertaking. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Debbie, thanks for your presentation. I did forget at the beginning, if you've got mobiles, can you put them on silent, please? Okay. Right, so we have no members of the public wishing to speak in favour or... Debbie?
Sorry, Chair, can I just come back on something? And this is my fault. The agenda, the site plan on the agenda is the old scheme. I will put the new scheme on the screen. I do apologise, that's my fault. So as you can see, the site A, the approved scheme, which is the one on your agenda report, has 3 terraces, but they're sideways on. This one is 1 terrace that runs along site A. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
So let me get that clear, Debbie. This is the new application, yeah? That is the new scheme. Yeah, happy with that? Okay, thank you. Okay, we don't have any members of the public wishing to speak in favour or against this application, but we do have the site agent, Mr. Mark Aylward. Yeah, if you sit...
Where the red light is.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately for me, you're facing me. If you sit there, you have 4 minutes to make your presentation and statements, okay? So if you press the speak button on your microphone, it'll bring you in.
Thank you, Chair. This scheme will deliver 15 new flexible commercial units at this very established employment site in Bamber Bridge. The old mill site has sustained employment for more than a century, supporting a scale of built form and employees that far exceeds what is on site today or would be provided through this scheme. This is a brownfield site at the heart of the community that is accessible and well established for this type of use. Indurant has recognised that parts of the estate do need upgrades and have noted that there is demand for high quality employment space for small businesses. Whilst there is an extant approval from 2022 for 44 small units, market requirements have clearly changed. The physical scale of these buildings and associated traffic movements is very similar to the 2022 scheme, which has been implemented through clearance works. This new scheme is much improved and Indurant is committed to this investment to meet local market requirements. So these improvements include significant planting of specimen trees of 6 metre height at point of planting to soften the southern and northern boundaries, more EV parking, cycling facilities for every unit, and improved arrangements for access within and through the site. Subsequent to detailed consideration by your officers and consultees, the application is recommended for approval. This is a well-considered application with no outstanding objections from any statutory consultees. The scheme provides significant replacement trees on site and mitigation to allow for biodiversity net gain. The committee report confirms that the development is acceptable. It will deliver immediate investment through construction and permanent employment as the works contract is due to be started in early 2026. The application material identifies substantial economic benefits which comprise creation of additional 170 full-time jobs, a net boost to the local economy of £2.0 million during the construction phase, a net boost of £6 million per year every year during operation, potential to reduce unemployment in the local Bamber Bridge wards, and increase business rates income for the council to use as they see fit. The scheme delivers major investment and employment on an allocated site. Your officer report provides good and strong analysis of the key issues and recognises that with planning controls, it is entirely acceptable in planning terms. I would encourage you to follow the advice of your officers and allow this allocated site to contribute more strongly to providing local employment, investment and high quality buildings for sustainable economic development. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take your questions that you may have.
Okay, Mike, thanks very much for your presentation. Thank you. Okay, I am now going to open this application to committee, please. Councillor Turner.
Oh, hi, can you hear me? Yes. Yes, sorry, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I realise this has a history of approvals and that stuff, so I'd just like to ask, Debbie, when you pointed out the map, you showed where the substation was going to be. I just wanted to know, there's some houses opposite there, so does the substation emit any noise? And has that been looked at, just in terms of residential amenity? Thank
Through
you.
the chair, yeah. A noise impact assessment's been put up in for the entire site. Now, environmental health have looked at all of that side of things. The substation will be a very small, one of the usual little ones. It's behind trees. It's well screened. We've no concerns about that or any other aspect of the industrial estate. And in fairness, it sits against the background of an industrial estate. So we've checked the information we've got, and we have got a noise impact assessment, and there's no concerns at all. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Turner. Councillor Phil Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think this is a good application. It seems to do everything that we would want it to do, and whilst it is in an area where there is housing, it was a big old mill. I've seen some photographs on the presentation, and it's a wonderful building, that old mill. But nevertheless, that's been and gone, and we're in a modern era of economic development, and I think this ticks all the boxes, Chair. So I will propose approval along with the conditions attached to the report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Smith. Thank you. Councillor Lomax.
I'd just like to second it. I know the mill was brought up round there, and I think it will be a fabulous development for the area. So I second what Councillor Smith said.
Taz, do you want to recommend approval as well? Over to you, Taz.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify in terms of what the actual recommendation is. So the recommendation is that the decision to grant planning permission is delegated to the head of planning and enforcement in agreement with the chair and vice chair, and subject to the submission of a unilateral undertaking and the conditions. So just wanted to clarify that's what you'd be voting on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. As I say, approval with complying with the report. Thank you.
Are we happy with that, Tasneem? Do we have anyone else? Councillor Molyneux.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Yes. I'm just looking at this fancy gadget. Yeah, I think from Bamber Bridge point of view, I agree with Councillor Smith and Councillor Lomax. It will be good for the area. It's good to see employment, a lot more employment there, and the figures that were given sound brilliant, really. So I would go along with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mullineux. Councillor Gleeson. I just want you to speak at planning.
Oh, right, okay, I will. I don't have any concerns about the application. All I would be interested in is that, depending on the time of year, if there's any more hedgerows or trees to be taken down or moved, that some consideration is given to any wildlife that may be living there at the time.
Debbie, do you have any comeback on that?
Only to say there are relevant conditions in place to deal with that, yeah.
You happy with that, Councillor Gleeson? Councillor Williams?
I always speak at most committees anyway.
Too much sometimes.
One quick question on the proposal site A viewed from the main industrial estate. On the photograph there's a lot of mature trees that back onto the sort of a good screen to the houses. Are those trees staying and we're just being added to, or are they going and new ones being placed there?
There is a landscaping scheme to augment what's already there. I believe some of the trees have already come out anyway, but what's there, as far as I'm aware, is staying. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in that case, yeah, fine, happy to go along with everybody else.
Debbie, did you want to? Oh,
sorry.
Sorry, Mark. Sorry, yeah, you can come back in.
Yeah,
we're all relaxed here.
Sorry, it's just to add if it's helpful that the trees that are going in are going to be 6 metres high at point of planting. That's 20 feet high at point of planting that are going in. So really significant, strong planting scheme, and much better than the scheme that was approved in 2022 in that context. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I was the chair in 2022 and it's a much better scheme indeed. Do we have any more people wanting to speak on this application? Any other proposal? Councillor Mrs Green, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Right, no, it was just a point that I've read in the report that it's going to be running till 9 p.m. at night. And I was, at first reading, I was a bit concerned about the noise of, vehicles moving around and reversing aids and making a noise at night. But I have read in the report that there are conditions in to attenuate the noise for the local residents, which covers, I think, most of my concerns if those conditions are strongly kept in.
We will struggle to control hours of use for these units because it's on an industrial estate which historically has 24-hour use. And we've purposely not put hours of conditions on for individual units. It puts them at a disadvantage, and it's difficult to enforce when we're not sure who's working when they shouldn't be. What we have done in terms of screening, in terms of acoustic testing, noise impact, that sort of thing, is the best we can get out of this scheme for residents, and it is policy compliant in that case. Okay.
Okay, Mrs Green? Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Mrs Green. Sorry about that. Right, do we have any other proposals on this application this evening? No? Okay, can we go to the electronic vote then, please? This is for approval of the Old Mill School Lane Bamber Bridge Industrial Estate, and this is for approval with conditions. Okay, thank you. Sorry, just bear with me, because Tasneem is giving me the naughty boy stare. Tasneem, would you like to come in?
It was just to clarify again, it's obviously the actual delegation to the head of planning in consultation with chair that you're actually voting on. So I just want to clarify that's what you're voting on. Thank you.
Right, okay, let's go to the electronic vote on what Taz has just told us we have to do.
Thank you, Chair. So that's a unanimous decision in respect of the decision to grant planning permission be delegated to the head of planning and enforcement in agreement with the Chair, Vice Chair of Planning Committee, subject to the submission of a unilateral undertaking to confirm that extant planning permission 07/2021 will not be implemented and subject to conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Taz. Okay, so that has been approved unanimously. That's the end of this committee meeting this evening. Just before the committee leave, thanks for attending, ladies and gentlemen. Just before committee leave, the planning committee meeting scheduled for Thursday the 11th of December is going to have to be moved, because we're... Kat, would you like to... Lizzie, would you like to tell them why?
Yeah, so we have the planning examination in public for the local plan. And for the second week of that examination, they're at South Ribble. And we were requested by the inspector to use the chamber because of the facilities in here. So for that particular week, we've asked if planning committee will kindly move to either the 8th or the 9th, which is the Monday or the Tuesday of that week. And then we can accommodate the examination for that week at South Ribble.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so if you're unavailable for any of those dates, just send me an email. I'll check what I've got on deputy mayoral duty and we'll come to a consensus what date we can do, either the 8th or the 9th. Is that all right with you all? Okay, thanks very much for attending this evening. It is 6:25 p.m.